All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, sorry I haven't done a video in a while. We were on Christmas break, a lot of things going on, but I am back in the film room, getting ready to rip this video right now. I'm going to talk about 3-high, 1-rat coverage. I'm going to give you guys 1 or 2 variations that we ran, and the reason I thought about doing this video, I know we've discussed 1-rat before, a lot of 3-high stuff before, but in watching a lot of the college football playoff games, especially Ohio State and Notre Dame at times, I'm seeing a lot of 1-rat coverage, and with Ohio State mixing in some 3-high deals, I think their rotations to it are different at times. So I want to take you through what we stumbled across when we were running 3-high. Make sure you check out all of our partners, GameStrat, all right, sideline replay company we use at the current high school I'm at. I've used them at the last 2 high schools I've been at. Highly reliable, highly affordable. Awesome guys. We've never had an issue with any of our on the tech side, and if we've ever had an issue, they answer the phone that day. They're now doing college football teams. Amazing story for where they came from. Make sure you check out GameStrat. Dome has headwear provider for Play Fast Football. Every high school that I've been at, going back to my first job 15, 18 years ago, have always been Dome hats. This is one of our custom Bishop Kenny fitted hats, right? You can get fitted, Velcro, snapback. Stock hats suck. Make sure you check out Dome. Baker Sporting Goods, company that provides us with gear like this sweatshirt that I'm wearing, our players gear, coaches gear, Friday night gear, fan stores, everything you want, Baker can provide. Make sure you check them out. Brandtek, company that made me custom Play Fast sneakers. They made me custom quarter zip pullovers and long sleeve pullovers. They do sublimation. They've got a locker room disinfectant that is absolutely phenomenal to take care of the things that you deal with in the locker room. They've got sports drinks. They do just about everything, so make sure you check out Brandtek. Modern Football, which is a company that helps you on game night become a better play caller, right? You're inputting things into a computer that is spitting out instantaneous data. It is saving yourself tons of time. You don't have to wait till halftime to make all the adjustments, reading things off paper. It pops up immediately. You can see what you're calling, what they're running, the adjustments you may need to make, what they're running more of that you didn't think. So instead of having to pad it and chart it like you normally would, get to halftime, figure it out, you can be making all of your adjustments on the sideline. It is an amazing product. Check out Modern Football. FlyRouteDrones, all right, they are the nation's leader in drones for athletics. It is the best teaching tool, in my opinion, if you get a drone angle. We use them for all of our summer 7-on-7 practice stuff. We've had them in games sometimes, but then there's some other issues in Florida where we can't use them in games, but I highly recommend a drone copy. You don't have to worry about, like with an end zone copy, where you've got to get the right angle, but then when the ball moves, you've got to zoom in, zoom out, make sure you have it all. Set the drone right where you want to, get it as high or as low, from far behind, as close as you want it. It is the best angle. Make sure you check out FlyRouteDrones, DifferenceUSA, ultimate striking machine. Thousands of reps, don't need a partner. If you want to strike violently, you got to practice striking violently. And congrats to Anthony Schlegel, who's the owner. He's a big Ohio State guy, played at Ohio State, does work with Ohio State in the national championship game. So great guy. Make sure you check out DifferenceUSA. And if you're at the AFCA convention this week, which I wish I was there, been there the last 2 years, couldn't get there this year, make sure you check out. I know GameStrat is there, I know Brandtek is there, I know Modern Football is there. Go buy those booths, tell them Play Fast sent you. Awesome people, awesome products that they have, and just in general, good people to speak with. All right, so when we were playing our 3-high stuff, all right, and obviously this past year we didn't play it as much. We had to change how we played some 1-rat, but when we were playing our 3-high stuff, our base rule from day one, camp rules, when we played 1-rat, was we used the mic as a 4th rusher, right? So we could plug the mic anywhere we wanted inside, all right? He was a 4th rusher. We could also, if we wanted to, depending on the mic that we had, I liked bringing him off the edge, so we would add him off the edge there, right? Our corners played number 1. Our nickel played number 2. Safety away from the nickel played 2. Corner played 1. All right. The will played the back. And we tried to get the best matchups that we could, right? We're not talking right now empty or anything else. Just easiest scenario to look at so I can kind of piece together what we did. Our will always played the back. Our middle safety became the low hole rat. The safety to the side of the nickel became the high hole player, right? So that was our base camp rules from our type 3-high deal, how we played 1-rat, all right, how we dealt with that. Obviously, when you start getting into like 2-back scenarios, all right, well now you're going to have to bracket backs, right? So if they go 2-back, we're probably going to have to add a safety or somebody into the box now, right? So you could take a safety into the box and you can bracket with the will and the safety, right? There's not saying that it's plug and play lineup. Obviously, if we're talking 1-back, it's the easiest scenario, right? But that is from camp rules, kind of the way we had it designed. And we had our rules built in where The nickel for us was going to be a man player, right? That's the way we started it. That's the way we always did it. Our nickel was somebody that we felt like could play some man coverages when we needed to. Very rarely played him in, zero coverage scenarios, but a lot of times if he had help, if he had underneath help, low crosser help, like in one rat, or he had post help, we felt like we could get away with playing him in some of those man deals, right? So we started off camp rules when we went 3 high, had to adjust it from what I used to do in the 4-2-5, how we used to play it. So we adjusted it. Middle safety became the low hole rat. Safety to the side of the nickel became the high hole rat. All right, and we kind of rolled from there. Well, what we ended up finding out for us that ended up working a lot better was a lot of teams don't really release the back, right? A lot of teams that we play, maybe they push them wide on flare stuff, whatever, but the back is not a real huge component of passing game stuff. So what we started doing to get better matchups is we said, okay, look, if they're not going to release the back all that often, we're going to take our nickel, all right, and we're going to put him in the box with the will, and we're going to give the presence of a 4-2 box, and they are going to handle the back if the back decides to get out, right? So what I'm not saying that we just disregarded the back because he didn't release. What I'm saying is we found a better way to match up by getting our safeties playing man on 1s and 2s because we felt better with them playing man. Our nickel can play man when he has help, all right, but the better matchup for us was putting our safeties, all right, off of the number 2 receivers. We would make our middle safety then become the high hole rat player, all right, and now what we would do is we would bracket the back with the nickel and the will. If the back were to get out, then the nickel or the will are responsible for the back and the other guy becomes the low hole player, right? So now we're bracketing the back to low hole, which is probably a little more standard for what a lot of people may do, all right, in either their 4-2-5 systems. But what it allowed for us to do was it allowed for us to get more rotations with the middle safety. So we could play one rat with the middle safety down as the low rat player, or we could play one rat with the middle safety high in the middle of the field, right? So the thing about 3 high defense that I loved, all right, in the 3 years that we were playing it as a base structure was the rotational pieces behind where the middle safety is, because that kind of messes with the quarterback and where people are rotating and where you think the middle safety is going to be, right? So we got to a world where we figured, look, if they're not going to use the back that often in the passing game, let's get better matchups with our safeties playing man-to-man. We'll bracket the back with the nickel and the will. We'll present a 6-man box, all right? And then if the back doesn't get out, we actually end up with 2 low hole rats. Now, why was that important? So when we were getting teams that were trying to beat us with man-to-man stuff, with meshes and picks and rubs, all right, we added a low hole player. And when we added that low hole player, because the back wouldn't get out all the time, now what ended up happening was we made ourselves even stronger versus all the underneath stuff. So when we were playing this deal, we could really talk to our guys about, hey, you can play this with outside leverage. You can make sure you win, all right, outside. Try to be, all right. Now, for us with the post player, it wasn't always saying, hey, you know, kind of like the Rip-Liz match theory where you kind of stay low and outside and you force all the throws to go high to the middle of the field safety, because it was more of a man deal. I didn't feel that comfortable telling them to win low and outside, but I told them they could certainly win outside and drive a lot of these routes underneath to the crosser, to the rat players, because if the back doesn't get out and the back stays in here, all right, instead of adding a guy on to where the back came from, we decided to leave both of them as low rat players, and then we created kind of a triangle with our low hole, high hole guys. So we ended up with this 2 low hole rats, the high hole guys. So we kind of created a triangle in the middle of the field where we were trying to funnel everything to the middle of the field, all right, and so that we could get it taken care of with the crosses and the rubs and the picks, and we always had a high post player. So we had, from our base 3 high package, we had 2 ways to handle how we wanted to play the one rat deal, right? And all I did was I just tagged this coverage, right? So if we played for us, and I know this is going to freak a lot of people out, the way I call one rat is we call it robber, and that is simply because we play true quarters. We don't play what most people would assume to be robber defense, right? So the way I learned it 25, 30 years ago, you know, it used to be called 11 robber back in the day. I got it from my defense coordinator in college, who got it from Division I guys in college back in 1994, 5, 6, right around that time. And we always called it 11 robber, right? And the reason we called it 11 robber was we knew there was always going to be one low, one high, right? So that he taught guys that the 11 stood for one low, one high, and the robber was the component of the coverage to where we knew we were playing one rat, right? Everybody knows it. Most people know it as one rat, one double, whatever you want to call it. But for us, it was always 11 robber. So I just eliminated the 11 part and we called it robber. Okay, so then what I would do is I would just tag it and I would say, hey guys, that's robber coverage has its base rules. The nickel's playing man, the will's got the back, safety to the nickel's high, middle safety's got the low rat. All right, and then we would just tag it and I would call it robber white. And anytime we were going to play white coverage, we knew that the nickel and the will were going to bracket the back. Okay, the nickel and the will would bracket the back. If the back gets out, they become the man player. The other guy becomes the low hole player. If the back never gets out, you create that triangle and you get 2 low hole players. Right, so it was a way that we could kind of change up our one rat stuff. All right, and how we could play a lot of our one rat stuff. And then we even added to it for some like inside the low red zone or inside the 10-yard line passing down situations. So, you know, 3rd and 8 scenarios, 3rd and goal to goal from the 8 or 4th and goal from the 6 or the 7. We added a component that actually helped us one time. So we added a deal where we wouldn't rush the mic. So we left the nickel, the mic, and the will in the box. All right, and we left the middle safety. And we played man everywhere. We still left the nickel and the will on the back if the back got out. But now what happened if the back didn't get out? We created 3 underneath rat players with a post safety. All right, and then what we would do goal line wise is we would make it a 0 concept. So I would take the middle safety and play him on the back, and we would tag that black coverage. So when we played black, we played all of our skills man to man on all of their skills, and then we left the Sam, the Mike, and the Will as robber players, as you know, low hole rat players underneath, right? So these 3 things kind of all stem from the same idea. It started with regular robber, then it went to the white adjustment, and then it went to the black adjustment. And even though they weren't all the same variations of, you know, the first 2 basically, all right, the first 2, so robber and white, these are both basically what we would call versions of one rat, right? This black version down here was not necessarily one rat because there was no high post player, but if we played it low red zone or if we played it like inside the 10-yard line, we really didn't need a post player. So we said, you know what? How about we take that coverage, we take the post player out and we put him on the back, all right, and then we keep 3 underneath players. And actually we had a game, one of the biggest wins in the history of this school. First drive of the game, they rip a 70-yard run down inside our 10-yard line. All right, and right away, team we're not supposed to beat, team that's beat us 35 years in a row, here we go again. Well, we get them to 3rd and goal from about the 8-yard line, and they ended up running mesh, right? And we went to our black version of this coverage. They ran mesh, they got the picks and rubs they wanted on the man players, they completed the low part of the mesh across the field, and our one rat underneath player made the tackle at about the 3-yard line. If we were in straight man, that probably would have been a touchdown. He made the tackle at the 3-yard line. We held him to a field goal, ended up winning the game by 1 point, right? So these were all versions that I came across when we went to 3 high. It's like, all right, I still want to play our one rat coverage. How can we play it? All right, here's the base way. They're not really doing much with the back. I want to get my safeties man to man. How can we change it? All right, the second way was the white adjustment where we bracketed off the back with the nickel and the will, all right, and then the middle safety still played, all right, a high component. So we had the middle safety low, we had the middle safety high, and then we had the middle safety as a man player. All right, so we were changing, and that was one of our better players. He's at Navy now, so you know, obviously we were fortunate enough to have a really good player that could do all that. But we were changing where the middle safety was fitting in the one rat deal. So he was high, he was low, but then he was also a man player, right? So, you know, the black version is not really one rat, it's more of a man coverage with cut players underneath. But you got to kind of remember, like anything that is a tweak or an innovation or a different, everything comes from somewhere, right? So what I did was I took, all right, how did we used to play 11 robber back in our 3-4 or 4-2-5 days? Okay, how are we going to play it with 3 high? All right, here's the base way we're going to play it. All right, what adjustments can we make? The back's really not pushing anywhere. They don't use the back in a passing game. All right, well, let's not waste a nickel, all all right, or let's not match the nickel on a number 2 receiver when I can put a safety out there, gain the nickel as a potential one-rat player, still use the middle safety, but now use the middle safety high, right? So we had the middle safety low, we had the middle safety high, and then we came across another deal. It was like, all right, straight. It probably, I think it was either 7-on-7 maybe, or you know, practicing against our own team or whatever it was, and certain deals and when we were playing one rat, we were getting beat by certain things, and it's like, hey, look, we're not getting beat by the back. We're not really trying in certain scenarios. We're not overly, you know, enthused about how much pressure we can get on the quarterback, right? Because the throws we were getting were not throws that we could affect by generating more pressure on the quarterback. And my theory has always been, as an odd front guy, we rush 3, and then we rush 5, 6, or 7. We very rarely rush 4, right? So we could add the Mike as a 4th rusher. We would do it in our base robber stuff or our one-rat stuff. Right, but my philosophy was always, we usually go from 3 to 5, 6, 7, right? There's really no need for us. We either drop 8 or we play our coverages the way we used to with the Mike as an add-on or a spy guy, or we get the pressure. So I wasn't really worried about rushing 3, dropping 8. And we got to a point where it was like, hey, we're getting beat by some crossers, some rubs, some picks. What if we added another underneath player? And we did. We came across a way that we said, hey, what if we just called it black, man-to-man by the skills, 3 underneath cut players, they're all rat players, they're all there for screens, draws, quarterback runs, and it ended up working out for us, right? So anytime you wrinkle something, anytime you change something up, you've got to be willing to say, hey, we can do this, I think it helps us. And anytime there's ever been an innovation, like when I talk to people about certain things and it's like, well, everybody does it this way, or everybody runs shallow like this, and everybody runs mesh like this. Well, anytime there's a wrinkle or an adjustment to that, whether it was an air raid guy, a West Coast guy, whoever it is, somebody had to come out and say, hey, I think we could possibly do this. So somebody's got to be the first one to say, hey, I think this is feasible. Same thing on defense, right? All these great ideas you watch people doing, you see people doing now, and for us it was like when we went tight 3 high, we thought that was the best thing in the world, and then you started seeing 4 down 3 high like Ohio State's running right now, and Jim Knowles ran at Oklahoma State, and people have probably been running for years, but somebody somewhere had to say, hey, I think this can work, and they had to be willing to change it, right? If you just sit there and say, let me go to clinics, place, how do they do it, how do they do it? That's always a great starting point, but at some point you've got to take information and say, hey, how can we do it? What can we do? And these were some things that we stumbled on with our 3 high 1 rat coverage. Why am I doing a video today? Because I've been watching Ohio State in the playoffs with a lot of their 4 down 3 high stuff that they sprinkle in, and I watch how they play some of their 1 rat stuff. So thought it was a pretty good time to do a video combining. I've done a 1 rat or a robber video before. I've done 3 high different videos before. This was a different way that we took some of our concepts, tweaked them to fit us, and then played them in actual high school games, right? So we actually did this stuff in high school games, right? It's not just something I see Ohio State do and I say, hey guys, this is really cool. These are all things that we have done in high school games. One of them, a really big play for us that kept the guy out of the end zone. So I have used those coverages before, and they have shown up in game-like situations. All right, so remember, guys, if you're at the AFCA, check out these great companies. They do a lot of great stuff for us. And play fast football. Remember, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit that notification button, turn your notifications on. You know, every time we do a video or we do YouTube Live, I'll probably get on YouTube Live one day this week to talk about national championship game, NFL playoffs, all that good stuff. All right, make sure thumbs up, thumbs down. If you like the video, don't. If you think that's not a good way to play 1 rat, thumbs down. If you don't like the fact that I call it robber, thumbs down. It's your opinion. I am so glad that all of you watch, so your opinion is certainly appreciated. If it's a comment or something that you want me to talk about, I try to answer as many comments as I can. If I can see it on my end and I can answer or respond to it, I'll do it. If it's something about a video and I can get to that video, then I will try to do that as well, right? So subscribe, notifications, thumbs up, thumbs down, all right? Make sure you do all the good stuff that everybody asks you to do when you're following a YouTube channel. I appreciate everything you guys do for me, and play fast. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. It's great to be back. See you next time.